It has been an incredibly difficult year for Am Yisrael, for the Jewish people. The past 440 days have been filled with so much darkness, so much loss, so much devastation, so much sadness, so many reasons to be pessimistic, so many reasons to feel hopeless. I personally have had the privilege to go to Israel 6 times since the beginning of the war, since October 7th. And on those visits, we saw such horrors, touring the south and seeing Be'eri, near Oz, communities in which there was so many loss of life, in which people are still missing, being held hostage, visiting injured soldiers, attending funerals and shiva calls. There is so much horror, there is so much destruction, there is so much darkness. But what has inspired me most on those trips that I've taken is not the darkness, but the glimmers, the glimpses of light, the hope, the optimism, the positivity, the extraordinary people who in extraordinary circumstances went from being ordinary to remarkably impacting the Jewish world. They are all over Israel. People who answered the call stood up in the moment. They have personally inspired me in the deepest of way. The brothers from Moshav Shuva, Kobi, Eliran, and Dror, 3 brothers miraculously spared from the attack along the Gaza border, who in the aftermath, almost immediately when the army was gathering and going in, when those communities were still being liberated, they came together. There's a intersection right in front of the Moshav called Shuva Junction. And these brothers decided that this army were gathering in droves and numbers. The volunteers from Hatzalah and Zaka who were coming down, they deserved a hot cup of coffee. They deserved a place for reprieve. They deserved a place to rejuvenate. So what did they do? They set up a little tent at the junction. There's no outlet nearby. They connected extension cord after extension cord after extension cord. They plugged in a hot water urn and they pitched a table and a tent and simply began to serve coffee to soldiers. That was 440 days ago. That was over a year ago, 15 months ago. And Kobi, Eliran, and Dror have not left. All these days later, they've only expanded. They built an entire structure there. And they have thousands of soldiers a day, 3,000 meals a day, clothing and toiletries and a hot meal and a hot or a cold drink through the different seasons of over a year that the Shuva Junction has been over. They call it Shuva Achim, return of our brothers. 3 brothers who've grown in their spirituality, 3 brothers who've grown in their connection to Am Yisrael, and 3 brothers who after 440 days still have a smile and energy and warmth and love and are excited to greet any volunteers who are willing to help them on their mission. It wasn't their responsibility. Nobody told them it was their job. They were reeling themselves from miraculously surviving this historic attack. But instead of lying down, instead of collecting dust, they got up and they did something and they opened the Shuva Achim for brothers. I've been there many times on each of the trips that we've taken. And my buddy Dror is constantly sending me pictures on WhatsApp of members of our community of South Florida who are coming through to volunteer, to spoon a meal, to sit with a soldier, and to help replenish and stock all the things that they give out. It's extraordinary what they're doing, not only from clean undergarments and deodorant, not only from hot meals and beverages, but tefillin, everything that a soldier could want. But they're not the only ones. It's these volunteers who, against the backdrop of the darkness of October 7th, have not stopped kindling lights. Their flames burn so bright. Volunteers, Mika Amcha Yisrael, the women of Gush Etzion who rotate baking special treats, stocking the Pina Chama, a clubhouse for soldiers who patrol their neighborhood. Maslul, in the community of Maslul, my friend Yaakov, who owns a makolet, who essentially hadn't seen his wife since October 7th because he opened up this place for soldiers to sleep, to rejuvenate, who come in the middle of the night when going in and out of Gaza, taking care of the needs of hundreds of soldiers a day. He handed his makola to someone else and said, watch it. He instead took over this enormous space and welcomed soldiers one after another, who come in to rest, to sleep, to eat, to rejuvenate, a hot shower, a change of clothing. There is so much darkness, and yet Am Yisrael, we are the lights of that menorah, of that Chanukiah, of the candles that are illuminating the world. And so this is what inspires me. Yes, there's darkness. Yes, we've been knocked down. Yes, there are so many reasons to be pessimistic and sad. But if we focus on the good, the ordinary people have been doing extraordinary things for well over a year, and they're not slowing down anytime soon. They've created platforms that enable us to volunteer, to contribute, to help, to make a difference. The three brothers of the Moshav, the three brothers of Shuva, whether it is the amazing women of Gush Etzion, whether it's Yaakov, the Makolet owner, who opened up in Maslul, the difference that he's making there, and so many other examples across Israel. Please God, let their light illuminate the world so there's no more darkness, and they can close down these volunteer places because all the soldiers will be home, the hostages will be with their families, and we'll be able to experience this Hanukkah, restoring the Beis HaMikdash, lighting the menorah, and welcoming Mashiach.